Can get going.
Okay, it's recording.
Great, thank you so much. So welcome everybody to the Mysteries of the Library Revealed webinar. Tonight we are talking about dissertations. Again, my name is Kim Burton, and with me behind the scenes is Andrea Lemieux, and she'll be answering your questions and helping me out tonight. So before we dive into it, I want to talk briefly about our mystery series. We do a Mysteries of the Library Revealed webinar every month. It's the third month. It's the third Monday of every month. I say that every time, third month instead of third Monday. It's at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, unless there's, of course, if there's a holiday, it might not be on that third month, it might be on the 4th. And we have two upcoming ones for October and November. In October, we're going to be talking about finding online information. So information outside of the Walden Library, how to find it, how to evaluate it. And in November, we're going to be talking about full text, how to access it and different ways of accessing it in the library. But tonight we're talking about dissertations, and we're going to talk about why dissertations are so important to use in the research process. We're going to talk about how to locate the different dissertation databases that we have in the library. And then I want to search for some dissertations and project studies to show you how to find them. And I'm going to spend a lot of time on there searching different ways for you to help you find different types of dissertations or project studies. And finally, we're going to talk a little bit about accessing articles from the reference lists in these resources. So why review dissertations or project studies? Dissertations and project studies are a wonderful resource for doctoral students. It's your end result, your goal, and you have access to so many of them. You don't want to overlook this valuable asset for you. You can look up examples of dissertations or project studies for your degree or your program, and then you can see how they're organized and how they flow. When we do this, we want to make sure that we're looking at Walden dissertations and dissertations published within the last 2 years, because you want to make sure that you are using the correct format, template that's being used in Walden now. And sometimes those things change, and other schools don't have the same requirements as Walden does. You can also find published dissertations or project studies that are related to your topic, and then you can see what theory, what conceptual framework or theoretical framework they're using, what research design they're using, and why they're using that, so you may be able to use that in your study as well. And finally, it's a great resource to find references. So think of it, these are people who just finished what you're doing now. They have done a comprehensive search of the literature, and they have found the best resources to support their studies. And most of those resources are going to be within 5 years. So you can go into their reference list and find resources that you'll be able to use for your dissertation or project study. So this slide has links to the different dissertation databases that we have here, and I'm just going to jump out to the Walden Library and show you how to access those different databases. From the library website, you just need to click on the big dissertations button right here, and this is where you can access our different dissertation databases. And I'm actually going to start at the bottom with ScholarWorks. ScholarWorks is the institutional repository for Walden. So this is where you can find published articles from faculty, staff, students. It's also where you can find the journals from our different programs. All of our different schools have peer-reviewed journals, and they're all open access here. But it's also where you can find some of our award-winning dissertations. So if I click on dissertations here, you'll see that there's a link for the Frank Dilley Award for Outstanding Doctoral Study. And this is given to a doctoral study that is exceptional in different areas. So you can see there's some with EEDs, there's some DBAs in here. If you are doing a dissertation, you would want to look at the Harold Hodgkinson Award for Outstanding Dissertation and take a look at it, see what's in it, what they have, how they organized it, what is necessary to be considered an award-winning dissertation here at Walden. The next dissertation database we have is ProQuest Dissertations and Thesis Global. Now, this is not every dissertation or thesis out there. It's just expanding outside of Walden University to include any open access dissertations. So anyone who has published their dissertation under open access, meaning that anyone can access it, will be available in this dissertation database. And the top one is dissertations just from Walden. So this is where we can find all of Walden's great dissertations. Well, let me clear this. I had done a search before, so that's still there. Okay. So I want to go in a little and talk a little bit about searching for dissertations. There's a lot of things that you can do. You can search for a dissertation that is related to your subject. It's not going to be directly on your subject because your subject is unique, but you can go out there and see what other people have researched and see maybe if they have if they did some research that is close to yours, they may have resources you can use. They may have a framework you can use. You can also search by degree and program. And this is really helpful to see how things are organized and what's expected from you to publish your dissertation. So for instance, if you are doing a DBA, I can type in here DBA, and in the Anywhere box, I click on there and I will pick degree. So now it's only going to bring back dissertations or project studies that are getting DBAs. Let me just put a topic in here just so we don't get too many back. Business closures. And we want them within the last 2 years. And I'll hit search. And we have 9 results. The only way to confirm that they are actual DBAs is you just have to peek in them. So if we just click on this preview, it'll pull it up for us and we can go down and we see it's from College of Management and Technology. We'll scroll down and it is for a DBA right there. So that's how we can confirm it. So that's great, but what if you're getting a PhD and you're getting, let's say you're getting a PhD in College of Education and Leadership. So these dissertations, even though they're all from Walden and were written by Walden students, they were not cataloged by Walden. They were cataloged by ProQuest. And ProQuest has many, many dissertations from many other colleges, and they don't understand that we have a College of Education, that we have a College of Management and Technology. So they don't put that in their fields as something we can search by. So we have to figure out a way to tell the database that I want a PhD, but I only want PhDs from education. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in our degree here, PhD, and click on degree. And then in the second one, we're going to type in education, and we are going to tell the database to look for that in the department. And this works pretty well. This would work if in nursing, you could just put nursing in here, change that to department or business. And it usually works pretty well in narrowing it down. Now, it may not get every one of them, but you're going to get enough. I'm also just going to add a row here because let's say that you are in your topic is in administration, and the population you are looking at is high school administrators. So you want to see what else has been done out there on high school administrators, so you can get ideas of maybe a framework, a theoretical or conceptual framework to use, or maybe an idea of a research design that worked for other people who are using this population. So I'm just going to type in here, high school administrators, and put those in quotes because I just wanted to find that term together. I don't want it to find high on page 3, school on page 9, and administrators on page 305. I want this as a phrase. So when you use quotes, it's only going to find those terms when they're right next to each other. I'm going to do the last 2 years and click search. And I get 5 results. So this is great. So now I can go through and look and see what's in there. So I'm just going to pop into this one. And I'm clicking on the full text because I want to access the entire dissertation. So the first thing I want to see is make sure that it is the College of Education, which it is right there, and that it's a PhD. Doctor of Philosophy and Education. So that did work. Now what I want to do is I want to scroll down to the table of contents. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy. Okay, now that I'm here, I can see how this is set up, how it's organized, what is going to be expected of me to get to this point, to have a published dissertation. I can go in here, review chapter 1, see how it's set up. Chapter 2, the literature review. I can go down to chapter 3, the research method. Now these, I want to see if maybe they're using high school administrators as their population as well. I'm going to want to see what design they did and also the rationale that they have for using that design. Let's pop back up to the literature review. Let's see how long it is. It starts on page 17 and it ends on page 42. Gives you a general idea of how big it is. And then you can just really focus in on some of these topics or just look at the framework. So this dissertation is using a conceptual framework. Sometimes you can click on them, sometimes you can't. And so I'm going to have to scroll down to page 13. So I'm sorry if you guys are getting dizzy. I'll just pop down here to page 13 and we'll see the conceptual framework. They're using systems theory. That's something you've never heard of, but it worked for them. Maybe it's something you're going to want to look into to see if it could work for you. What you want to do is read what they're talking about it and look for the seminal work. So the seminal work would be the original work of the theorist. It's usually going to be a little bit older, but that's okay. You can have resources that are older than 5 years if the research is seminal, but you also need recent research as well. So you can go through the literature review and find more updated articles. So there's some articles here from 2014. You can see if there's any more updated ones, or if you keep on seeing the same names showing up, you may want to look those people up. And to do that, all we have to do is go, we have to go up to the reference link up here, and we'll click on that. And this is going to pull up the reference list for this dissertation. For some reason lately it's been defaulting oldest first, and I don't want that. I want the most recent first. So I just changed it to most recent and then clicked sort. And it usually works most recent unless the citation isn't correct, then sometimes some older ones will be up here. But for the most part, it does list them in the most recent first. So if I could go through here and see if there's any articles that I may be able to use in my own dissertation. When I'm going through, I'm looking to see if there's links to access them. So this article right here has a full text link. And what I like to do is right click on the link and open it in a new tab. All right, it didn't find it in there, but that's because it didn't find it in the ProQuest. So let's see if we can click on Find at Walden link and see if we find it somewhere else. And it did. It found this article in 4 different databases. So to access the full text of this article, I want to go to the database that has the best coverage. This article was published in 2015. So it's actually accessible in all of these databases. So you could see this is the dates that we have available. Sage Premier has the best because they go through the present, but since this one was published in 2015, I'll be able to access it in any of those databases. So all I have to do is click on, let's click on Sage, and this is going to bring me to the full text of that article. So I know I've been covering a lot of stuff. Is there any questions or anything that anybody wants to me to show them again, Andrea?
Right now, we don't have any questions.
Great. Okay, great. Thanks. All right, let's go back to our reference list here. Sometimes you'll see there is a Find at Walden link. Here you can try that. Again, I like to open it up in a new tab. See, and again, it found this one. Sometimes it won't find the article, even though the Find at Walden link is there. And the reason being is that maybe, oh, look, now it's going to find it. Now I'm trying to find one that isn't working, and it's going to find everyone. But sometimes that doesn't work because it's just, let's say we have the journal through 2016, but the article was published in 2018. The databases sometimes can't tell that. They know we have the journal, but they don't know the years that we have access to the journal. So you may see that Find It Walden link. It thinks it's there, but we don't have it. But that's okay, because if you ever come across a resource that you cannot find in the Walden Library, all you have to do is go to the Ask Librarian link and email us the citation. And then we'll go ahead and we'll look for it. Sometimes we have other ways of finding them. We'll look and see maybe if we can find it online. If we can't find it for you, we'll send you to our document delivery service. The document delivery service is a service that the library has, and it's under services and then student services. And this is where we will actually pay up to $55 to get an article for you, because we don't want you to lose out on research just because we do not have it. There are a couple of restrictions or guidelines you should be aware of. It does take 7 to 10 business days, and you will receive the item electronically. It's always free to you, but as I mentioned, we will only pay up to $55. So if it's more than $55, we may have to try to find a different way to access it. And there's also a 30 article per lifetime limit, but I wouldn't worry about that. I've only seen this come up once or twice, and both times it's been faculty. So I don't know, Andrea, have you ever seen the 30 lifetime limit come up as a problem for anybody, any student?
I've actually not ever encountered that. So as long as students are being sort of critical of what they're asking for and making sure that it's relevant to their research, I don't think that they'll have any issues. But we did have a question. If you want to go back and show one more example, a student is asking if you can find a dissertation in criminal justice, but it is a PhD. So maybe just look up a topic in criminal justice and show how the PhDs will all be the same, no matter, it's more based on topic.
Criminal justice. Okay, great. Yes, I can definitely do that. Well, no, actually, let's do it. And we'll find one, and then I'll use that one as an example. So let's go back up and do an advanced search. And I want to clear my form. And so the first thing I want to do is I'll put in PhD as my degree. And then criminal justice. And did we have a topic in particular, or just looking for anything in criminal justice?
Any topic that you can think of. One wasn't supplied.
Okay. All right. Can you think of one off the top of your head?
How about corrections, personnel, and retention?
There you go. Thank you. I spelled that wrong. All right. Actually, let me do correction, personnel in there. I'll add another row. I'll do retention. Thank you, Andrea. And then I'm going to go down the last 2 years. So I'm looking at criminal justice in the department. I'll hit search. I get 4 results. So let's pop into the full text of this one. And we'll scroll down. And okay, college dissertation. Yep. Doctor of Philosophy, Criminal Justice. And you can do any, back to these results, you can put in anything here. All you have to do is have the PhD for the degree, the Criminal Justice Department, and you can put in any topic or concept that you want to focus in on your area. I'm going to go back into this, that PhD, and jump into the references again. Just to show you another way to access some of these articles here. Okay, so here again, Find Out Walden links. Some of them we can just click on the full text to access those articles. Sometimes we don't have an article. So every once in a while you'll see there's nothing there. There's an email, a URL, but there's no link to it. I'm just thinking those are peer-reviewed articles. So I'm just going to steal this one and say that, pretend that Find Out Walden isn't there. So let's say we don't have this one in the library. So one thing that we can do is we can take a copy, the title of that article, and go back to the Walden Library And I'm going to go look this article up in Google Scholar. And I always access Google Scholar through the library. So I click on Start Your Research and then Google Scholar. So now this Google Scholar box is linked to the Walden databases. And anything that Google Scholar finds that is available in Walden, a Find at Walden link should appear. So here's the article, and you can see there's the Find at Walden link, and notice that we have this article in our library. You can also see that there's a PDF. That means that it's available online. I'll open this up in a new tab, and this is going to bring us to that article in ResearchGate. I do, with a slight word of caution, if the Find at Walden link is there, use the Find at Walden. ResearchGate has in the past gotten in trouble for posting articles that they did not have a complete copyright for, and you want to make sure that you're accessing all of your articles correctly. So if that Find at Walden link is there, definitely click on that. Sometimes, let me just see, I just want to pull up some different articles. Okay, sometimes you'll notice that there is, when there's nothing over here, so here is an article or a book actually, and there's no link here. Sometimes if you click on the double arrow here, a Find at Walden will pop up. I'm trying to see if there's an example, and of course, I'm not finding an example here. Let me see. Oh, that's a book again. They're all books. Oh, wait, this one. Yes, so here, see, there's no Find at Walden here, but it did pop up here. It may work, it may not. Let's see. No, it did not work, but sometimes it does. So just to be aware that if you don't see any links over here, no PDF, no Find at Walden, try clicking on that arrow. And then another thing that you can try is all 4 versions. This is basically saying that Google found 4 different versions of this article online. So it's all the same article, just found in different places. And sometimes you might find a Find at Walden on this page as well. So those are just 2 tricks to finding the full text when you are in Google Scholar. So does anybody was there any questions about looking up resources from the reference list?
No, but if we can backtrack when you're at a good stopping point, is there some confusion over which degrees you can search specifically, like DBA, for instance, and which ones you only can limit to PhD?
Well, that depends on what you're getting. So are you getting a PhD or are you getting a DBA? You know, you have you're searching for what you are doing. So I mean, if you're not getting a DBA, I wouldn't bother looking up any DBAs. You know, I would only look that up as if that's what that's what your program is in. So all the degrees, those specific degrees, DIT, DNP, DBA, EDD, those you can just look up by putting in the, let me see, like DIT and then degree. If you're getting a PhD, you can put in here PhD, and then to narrow it down more, because the database doesn't understand that we have a College of Education, that we have a College of Management and technology. What you can do is say, I'm in education, and tell them that's the department. Or you could say, I'm in psychology, and that's the department, or criminal justice in the department. And that's just going to focus in to your programs a little bit better than just searching for PhDs, because I can search for PhDs on high school administrators, but I may be getting some PhDs from business in there that I don't want to look at, because I'm just right now I'm trying to find out how they're organized, and I'm looking for the flow of it and see what other educational resources that they're using. Does that clear it up a little?
Yeah, I think showing that you can limit it by department, if you're getting a PhD, helps.
Yeah. That's what I would do. Now, one of the last things I want to show you that you can do in these databases is you can search for your advisor. So sometimes this is helpful because when you're assigned a chair, advisor is the same as chair. In the database, they call it the advisor. So when you're assigned a chair, a good idea to jump in here and see what a published dissertation or project study that they chaired looks like, and then you'll have a better idea of what they expect from you. Also, if you're talking with your chair and they're asking you to do something and you're not quite sure what they're talking about, pull up some of their dissertations and see what those dissertations look like. I recommend to do this, to click on the lookup advisors instead of just writing in the chair's name in here. Look up advisors over here and then type in the name. So I'm going to type in Dr. Wells because I've used him as an example, and I'll just click find. And you'll see he is in here 2 different times. He is in here as Steve Wells, but he's also in here as Steve P. Wells. Now, this is the same person. I want to make sure that I'm getting all of the dissertations he's chaired on. You know what? Let me just put in Wells because I think there's. So when I put in just Wells, I get the Steve Wells down here. Oh, and I also get a Stephen and a Steve. So I'd want to add that to it as well. But you could see Dr. Marilyn Wells, someone actually had cataloged her with the doctor in there. So she's in here 3 times with 3 different versions of her name. You want to click on each name, each version of this, into your chair's name, and click add to search. And you'll see all of them will pop in there. And then go ahead and just hit search. And it's going to pull up all of the dissertations that he has chaired. And these go all the way back to 2007. So what I think I would do is click on enter date range. And for the first year, I'll put in 2017. You don't have to put in an end date because it always goes through the present. It'll always search through the present. Just click update. And now it's going to bring back, how many? 3. So he's chaired 3 different dissertations in the last 2 years. So I can go in here and kind of look at them and see what these people did and how it looks. And in case you want to see exactly what is expected from you. In the PowerPoint presentation, I have links on how to do this, how to look for degree, how to look for advisor, how to look up your topic as well. I also have links to when you're reference finding, how to go to Google Scholar so you're accessing it through the Walden Library, and how to use the Find at Walden link. And that brings us to the end of our presentation. Was there any other questions?
Yeah, there's a few questions that I'm fielding right now. Let's see. Why don't we go ahead, since we're at the end of the presentation, why don't we go ahead and stop the recording and then we can stick around to answer some questions that are in the question box?
Perfect.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
that sounds perfect. So before you stop the recording, the last slide has a link to our quick answers. Ask a librarian, that's where you can email us, ask a question, or send us a citation if you can't find it, and we can help you find that article. And also a link to the live and recorded webinars at the library, including previous mysteries webinars. So you'll find all the other mystery webinars that we've done this year in that link. So thank you everyone for coming. And right now we're going to stop recording, but we're going to hang out and answer some questions for you guys.